Sunday morning, people. Really early in the morning. Currently 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm not supposed to be awake for another. Actually, I woke up at 2 again. Tried to get back to sleep. I'm tired, but then I lay down and I'm full of like energy again. So I don't know what the hell is going on, but it's something. And welcome to my vlog. So I figure, frig it. Why bother trying to sleep? It's not gonna work. So, might as well just stay awake. Make a coffee. I was thinking about actually hitting up that place around the corner from here. It's a Keurig shop. I went there before and they had some really good deals on coffee. And like tasty kinds too. Not just like what I buy here, the Krispy Kreme or the Tim Hortons. They got some that are like flavored like cinnamon bun and truffle. And the thing is there's no sweetener in them. I don't understand how they can do this to make it taste like a freaking pastry, yet the caloric intake is null. Pretty impressive, I do say so myself. But what I'm gonna... thought he was taking a dump. Did you go poop?
Oh, he did. Okay.
Alright, let me put this down. But I'm gonna probably head there after work. I'm probably gonna head to Sobeys prior, because there's some coffee fixings I need to pick up. And I think they're open at 7 a.m., but I know somebody who might have this answer. What time does Sobeys open today?
Sobeys Algonquin at 1899 Algonquin Avenue opens today at 7 a.m.
Cool. So that means I can go to Sobeys before I go to work and get what I need to get. This is good because I'm out of coffee whitener. And yes, at home I use this stuff, but at work I use the whitener. Mainly because I don't have access to a refrigerator and people like to steal things. You know, I once bought some pizza pockets back before I did this diet. Left them in the freezer. There was 4 of them, or 4 packs of 2, so 8 pizza pockets. I managed to only have 2 packages before the other 2 magically disappeared. Someone decided to help themselves to it. That's what happens. Because of this, I decided not to leave anything at work. Because you know how it is, right? People take your stuff, you go to confront people and ask who did it. Everybody buttons their lips. Nobody admits to theft because who wants to get in trouble? It's not worth it, right? So to avoid getting, in trouble, keep your mouth shut until the heat dies down and nobody cares anymore. Then move on and life goes on. It reminds me back in the Ontario days when I used to basically, my bottom drawer of my desk, I would have things down there like cup of noodle and stag chili, all sorts of different foods. Basically, I wouldn't bring a lunch. If I got hungry, I would just open my little kitchen drawer and eat it. Well, I had at the time candy bars down there. And I was like, I'm gonna have a candy bar. I reached down to grab a candy bar and there was no candy bars left. And I knew I didn't eat them. And it turns out it's one of my coworkers. So basically, he klept out candy bars from me throughout the week, and I didn't notice till I wanted one. Well, when I asked everybody in the office who took them, nobody chimed up. So I set up a little note that basically said, and I put Buddy's name on it, because I knew who was doing it, to stay the frig out of my stuff. And sure enough, Buddy went into my desk to get some food, saw the note, freaked out, and sent an email to me, carbon copying the boss. Like, he admitted to theft. And it's like, so the boss is like, why'd you leave that note? And I said, that's your takeaway? Shouldn't it have been, why was he going through my stuff? Like, come on, pull up. Figure it out. That's why I don't leave stuff at work. I used to bring my laptop bag. I put stuff in there, like food and stuff like non-perishables that I could just snack on. But lately I don't even bring food to work anymore. I just don't eat in that 8-hour period. Come home and have something to eat afterwards. After I discovered that you don't need to have 3 square meals a day, life's great. Alrighty, well, I just pounded down my coffee. It was actually really good. Really good. Really needed. Guess who's not going back to bed? Obviously this guy, because I gotta work. I gotta leave in like 2 hours. Because I'm definitely gonna be heading over to Sobes and scooping up some stuffs. So I'm gonna make another coffee and probably make some breakfast too, because I want some eggs. Man, have you guys been looking at the specs, or at least the rumored specs, on the new Ryzen chips coming out? I say rumored specs because that's exactly what they are right now. They're just rumors, but they're saying the 3000 series is going to be nuts. And for the longest time, I've been the biggest Intel fanboy because, let's face it, AMD kind of lost their steam after the Athlon series. See, back when I was like younger, My first computer was an Intel 486 DX266. AMD was just hitting the market with their processors, and they weren't really as pointed out, as awesome as the Intels. Intel still dominated over AMD back then. The nice thing about AMD was the price, and it was super affordable. So you can get like, whoa, there we go. You can get like an AMD, hold hey, one second, I gotta put you guys down while I break this ice tray. But like back in the day, you can get like an AMD DX250 or a DX, I think they had a DX375 and a DX4100. And they were a little cheaper, but for some reason the Intel chips just outperform them every day of the week. But for a cheaper solution for a computer that's gonna run just as good, AMD was a good solution. And then of course Cyrix came out with their cheaper processors, the Cyrix 166s and all them, claiming performance that they're better than the Intel counterparts. And oh man, that's my last Keto. Well, that's sad. We're definitely gonna have to do a Keto hunt tonight, guys. We're gonna have to hit up that shop around the corner. Anyway, so yeah, you had the competitors back then. And even though AMD, I'll put you guys down again, sorry about that. I'm telling you, this job would be a lot easier if I had somebody holding you guys. Job. This ain't a job. It's freaking YouTube. It's a hobby. But yeah, you had the three chip makers, Intel, AMD, and Cyrix. Cyrix? I can't remember now. It's been a while since I've never owned a Cyrix CPU. My buddy did. He had a 686. Yeah, back when Cyrix figured people will buy it because it's a 686. It's not a Pentium. It's still an 86 processor. It's just a bigger number. Therefore, it's more better, gooder, stronger, faster. He had a Cyrix 686, 233 megahertz, and my Pentium 133 would decimate his poor 266 because it wasn't running at true 266 megahertz. It was actually running at like 100 megahertz, if that. It sucked compared to mine. And but like he put a 3DFX card in it, and he was able to play games. So that's all we did. We played a lot of Diablo back in the day. He'd bring his computer over to my parents' house, and we'd set up a little local area network. And no, we used serial cable, null modem serial cables, and because that's before I even had a network at the house. And we would sit there and play video games all hours of the night. It was fun times. But anyway, it wasn't until the Athlon series where AMD was really putting the guts to Intel, like when the AMD had their Athlon K7 series and Intel had their Pentium 3s and Pentium 4s. But then when the Core Wars came out and AMD started with their 64-bit cores, Intel was still running 32-bit for a long time. That's when things started getting interesting because, let's face it, an FX60 or an AMD X2, good processor, could hold its own, but a Core 2 Duo would just decimate. Intel was just so much more advanced at that time. I don't know what the hell happened, but they got just so much more advanced. Then Intel goes and makes a Core 2 Quad. AMD had their quad cores out, the X4 chips. Not bad, but the Core 2 Quad still put the guts to it. Yeah. So, all of a sudden, Intel comes out with this new generation of processor, the I series. Well, that really made things interesting now with hyper-threading and all this new technology. And I remember reading up on the i7 going, wow, 4 cores, 8 threads, what does that do? And then I realized, oh, Windows sees it as 8 virtual cores, so it acts like an 8-core processor. That's kind of neat. I need one of those. And that's when I realized that Dell was selling a deal. That XPS 9000 that I got sitting in the other room. First generation i7, 920, 2.66 gigahertz, 4 cores, 8 virtual cores, turbo boosts, so like 3 gigahertz. That was pretty blazing quick at the time, let me tell you. AMD had nothing. They're still running their X series, their X4s and Athlon, and putting money towards low-end chips and trying to basically take over the low-end market. And then Intel comes out with Sandy Bridge, and AMD ends up buying out ATI, goes for a graphical performance, starts making hints at a new platform called Bulldozer. We all know Bulldozer. It's the FX line. They're quote-unquote 8-core processors. Wow. It wasn't for a while. It was like They announced it at Sandy Bridge, and if they would have released it at Sandy Bridge, it might have been good. My cat literally just did a sideways burnout to run over to the washing machine. I don't know what the hell this thing's problem is. But like, even when Bulldozer came out, it was too little too late. It was just not a good concept. It wasn't like Intel's 4th generation processors were the cat's meow. Everybody wanted, like, I have a Sandy Bridge, I have the Ivory Bridge in my one Dell laptop, and I have whatever the hell the first one was called in that XPF. All of those computers ran great. They all did their job. They all performed adequately. But a lot of people bought the FX processors, and I know 2CV Bloke's going to chime in on this because he has one. And the only benefit that those Bulldozer processors had was cost. They were cheap. They ran on the AM3 platform, which had a lot of options. People didn't want to go out and buy the Bulldozer right away. They could have easily bought an AMD Athlon quad-core X4 and threw it in there and ran that for the time being. Or I think they had other cheaper chips out, like Semperon or something like that. I don't know. Semperon was like the Duron, Celeron. AMD had a Duron chip back in the day of the Celeron. It was like a low-performance version of the Athlon. Anyway. But AMD kind of sat there kicking and screaming until Ryzen. Ryzen revolutionized things, and I think it's about time these new chips are coming out because AMD really needs to give, like, because Intel hasn't done shit with the i-series. If you look at the i-series, the biggest leap in performance was Sandy Bridge. 3.4 gigahertz on 4 cores at 8 threads, turbo boosting to 4 gigahertz. Holy crap, that's nuts. If you look at all the other 26, like the 2600 versus the 6700 and the 7700, not looking at the K variants, just looking at the unlocked versions, there's no real benefit. You get a couple more instruction sets and stuff, but there was no real reason to care until the 8700 came out, when they finally added 2 more logical cores and 4 more threads. Then things got interesting. But you know what? I gotta honestly question if Intel would have went this route on their own without AMD giving them the push. Because if it wasn't for Ryzen coming out when the 7700 came out, and AMD releasing this cheaper than an Intel Ryzen 1700 and 1700X and 1800 and 1800X with 8 cores, 16 threads, running at a comparative speed to Intel's flagship, if Intel would have bothered with the 8700 being a 6-core, 12-thread, and now the 9700 or 9900 being an 8-core, 16-thread. I question if they would have bothered, if they would have just kept rehashing the same old shit processors, calling them revolutionary, in hopes people buy them. So it's about damn time that AMD gets out there. Now these new processors coming out, holy, if the specs I've read on them is true, the 3600 is gonna have, oh, let me just pull this up here. So basically they're low-end APUs now, okay? The Ryzen 3 3300, which is going to be sold for $99, they're saying roughly, has a 50-watt TDP, will have 6 cores, 12 threads, base clock of 3.2 gigahertz at 4 gigahertz turbo. The X variant is 3.5 gigahertz, 4.3 gigahertz turbo at 65 watt. Then the 3600, which is basically the competitor to the 1600 that I have in this thing. It's along that same line. The Ryzen 5 3600 will have 8 cores, 16 threads at 3.6 base, 4.4 turbo, 55 watt TDP, selling for $178. Dude, 8 cores, 16 threads. Then the X will be a 4 gigahertz base at 4.8 gigahertz turbo with same 8 core, 16 threads, going for $229. And then the APU version, the Ryzen 5 3600G, will be 3.2 gigahertz at 4 gigahertz turbo, 95 watts TDP, $199. 8 cores, 16 threads. That's cray. That's amazing. That's awesome. 3700 is going to have 12 cores, 24 thread. 3700X, same. You're looking at around 3.8 gigahertz to 4.6 gigahertz turbo boosted. $300. And then the big daddy cool, if this is true, this is cool. Ryzen's going to release a 9 series. The Ryzen 9 3800X and 3850X, 16 cores, 32 threads, 3.9 gigahertz base clock on the 3800X, 4.3 gigahertz base clock on the 3850X, turbo boosting on the 3800 to 4.7 gigahertz, and on the 3850 to 5.1 gigahertz. Both chips are consuming between 125 to 135 watts TDP, and you're looking at a price of $449 for the 3800 and 3850 $499. That's still cheaper than Intel's flagship right now, the 9900K. So, should Intel be scared? Damn skippy they should, because AMD is really putting the guts to them, and I really appreciates that.
Breakfast, eggs and bacon wrapped in chicken. Nope, chicken wrapped in bacon. Yep.
Alrighty, we're rolling on 7 a.m. I'm gonna do myself a solid, go fire up the truck, get her nice and hot so that it's easier to take all the snow and ice off of it, because pretty sure we got some more snow last night. Saw the plow trucks going by a couple times today, but then again, they always go by 3 or 4 or 17 times down my street. So, almost puked. Fire up Truckosaurus. Let her get up the temperature and melt some snow. Hopefully today goes as fast as yesterday did. Should be a lot less stuff going on today. Yesterday was super slow, so I'm hoping today is just like the same. So yeah, I was chatting with Krusty about he bought some more RAM for his computer because he was having problems playing video games. It would stutter. The reason being is, well, 8 gigs of RAM isn't enough anymore. Hate to break it to people, but that seems to be the case. With that new creators update from Windows 10, 8 gigs of RAM, your computer will just end up paging all the time and games will stutter. Now, he never noticed the problem with his old video card. He had a 745 by NVIDIA in there, and before, the game ran fine. Sure, it wasn't the greatest frame rate, but the game ran fine. After upgrading to a 1050, all of a sudden, he's driving along and it would just like stutter. Like the game would freeze momentarily and then carry on and then freeze momentarily and then carry on. And it would just rinse and repeat and do that over and over and over again, driving him nuts. And I can understand that because that would drive me pretty crazy too, to the point where I just wouldn't want to play a game. And like I told him, I said, well, he did a video on YouTube where he showed what was happening with 8 gigs of RAM. And then he went out and bought 16 more and made it 24 gigs of RAM in his computer. The problem went away. Reason being is now the game can process more data because the video card can handle more, so higher resolution, therefore more data coming in and out. Problem is the RAM couldn't keep up because Windows 10 Creators Edition, minimum requirements 8 gigs, even though Microsoft says 4, that's a lie. Because otherwise you're going to live off your page file and it's going to run like crap. So when he went to 24 gigs of RAM, 16 is more than enough, but he went to 24 gigs of RAM, everything smoothed right out because now the system's not paging as much. And that's the thing is, 8 gigs of RAM nowadays, no, not enough. I would say 16 gigs of RAM should be the minimum, and that's why I was kind of mad at companies like Dell, Acer, and Asus who are selling these $1,300 gaming computers with only 8 gigs of RAM. It's like, what are you doing? That's not enough. People are not going to enjoy that. It's going to be fine at first, but then they're going to start noticing problems and go, why did I spend all this money on this? Put 16 in there from the get-go, people will be happier with your product. Yeah, I know, today's video has been all tech-oriented. I don't really apologize because that's my thing. Camera just did that thing where I couldn't friggin' feed the data fast enough and paused. But anyway, I should get my jacket on, get ready, get out of here, get off to Sobeys, get what I need, and get off to work, put in my time, come home, and go boom. Should probably feed the dog too, because I don't think I've done that this morning yet. Probably why he's following me around like a dummy. Probably want some noms. Gotta say that tray, that's working great. He is nosing the bowl around, but it's not left the tray yet, so good times. No idea where my cat is. Normally I pour her food and oh, she's over there sleeping on the sleeping bag, trying to stay warm. My buddy actually bought a little heating thing. It's like I think it's for lizards or something, I don't know. This is like a little heating blanket. Plugs into the wall and he just leaves it on and his cat sleeps on it. I'd be too nervous to do that in this house. No, my luck, it would catch fire. Okay, well, I thought I was going to have all sorts of snow on my windscreen. Turns out I don't. Thought I was going to have all sorts of snow in the driveway. Turns out I don't. Why were they running the plow trucks this morning? There's like no snow anywhere. Oh, whatever. Let's go to Sobeys. So like yesterday, I'm not going to film while I'm going to work or coming home. I'll just film afterwards. Oh man, because makes for less editing. All right guys, talk to you later. It's like a perfect circle, isn't it? Yeah. Well, I went to the grocery store today. I found this stuff. What is this stuff, you ask? It's monk's fruit. It's a sweetener
with zero everything, except for it's got 1 gram of carbs, but that's in the form of sugar alcohols, which means no carbs, no protein, no calories. This is the best sugar you can buy for anything involving keto because it literally has no insulin effect. It's 0 on the glycemic charts. Look it up.
Hey, so guys, I went all day today without having a vape. That's right, I don't even have an e-dart on me right now. I have a hand-free where I can actually close up my keys, lock my trucks, put my keys in, oh no, I need my keys to unlock the door.
Oh, jeez, I'm covering the freaking microphone. Sorry about that, guys. Probably just heard a bunch of nonsense noise. Just go redo that. Puppy! Here's the puppy! Hey, where are you going? Okay, help yourself, I guess. He was making a move for it till I yelled at him. So I got my loaner laptop all configured and ready to rock. Now I just got to ask permission to take that one home with me tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to hook it up to 2 monitors because, see, the old HPs that we had were not too bad because they had HDMI and a VGA port. And you could use both of them simultaneously and have like 2 extra monitors attached. And holy crap, my beard is disgusting. Should just shave that thing right off. But anyway, you could have both of them going at the same time and it worked great. Where on these new laptops, they have mini DisplayPort, which I don't have an adapter for that, and VGA. No HDMI. I don't know if I can take a docking station home with me, but I might be okay with 2 monitors. The dog rifled off a turd, and then he starts beelining it for the friggin' neighbor's yard. Would you focus, you $1,000 piece of junk? Jesus, Murphy, this camera sucks. I had to turn back on the touch panel so I can use touch focus. So that way there it'll actually focus on me and not focus on some particle stuck on the lens. My god, $1,000 for a camera, and the stupid thing autofocus is like a $200 Sony. It's really going on. So I'm glad today's done and over with, let me tell you. But tomorrow we just got a half day, and then Tuesday I gotta go do that service call at the office, at the school board. It is what it is. So I don't even know what the hell I'm gonna be doing tonight. I couldn't go to the coffee shop. I said I was gonna go to the coffee shop today. Pick up those K-Cups, all different flavors and types. But it turns out they close just as I get off work. So, what we're going to end up doing for tomorrow is probably use either, wherever I put it, this attachment here, which allows you to run just regular grinds in your coffee, or I'm going to make a pot. One of the two. And I think I actually have all this loose leaf tea. I don't even have a thing to make anything with this. You know, one of those portable tea bag things or whatever they're called. Thought I had. I do. Well, it's not flavored. It's African Kitimadu ground coffee. Floral and subtle spices. Maybe we'll throw this in the guy tomorrow and fart out a pot and see how bad it tastes. But I remember where the hell I put it. There it is. Like I said, we got this monk's fruit, which for keto, this is quite possibly the best stuff you can use to sweeten your coffee, tea, whatever the case may be. So the brand is Kreisda, not to be confused with Chrysler. And it's monk fruit sweetener, 0 sugar, 0 calories, naturally sourced ingredients, GMO free. Wasn't cheap. It was about $6 for this box of 80 friggin' packets. There you go. Enjoy the sweet life. I can get the glare off the friggin' shiny ass frig box. You could probably read it, but there you go. So, all in all, I've already tried it today. That's why the box is open. I grabbed 2 packets, brought them into the office, and mixed the coffee with it to see how it tastes. And it's pretty much the same as stevia. Except for stevia scores a 1 on the glycemic chart, and monk fruit is a flat 0. Sugar twin like dextrose and all that scores like 88 to 90, and sugar itself scores a 67. So you get an idea as to what you're hitting on the glycemic chart with stevia versus monk's fruit versus... What am I hearing out there? It's not the neighbor because he's just shoveling. Who knows? Who knows, right, stupid? This is mine now. You don't even want that. What do you got in your mouth? Drop it. What's your face? You don't want that. It's mine now. They're both mine now. I don't care. Get mad. No. Well, I'm going to head her upstairs and see what the what is. By that I mean I'm just going to head her upstairs. Why not? Well, it's only 5:30. I'm going to go downstairs and rock a workout now and then cook a steak. Because that seems like a good idea. In my brain, anyway. Alright guys, workout's done. Steak should be cooked. Good times, good times. He's laying down, but he's got his side leg. Well, he was laying down. Now he's not quite there. But he had his legs kicked out sideways, and it looked like how my rabbit used to sleep back in the day. It was cute. Oh yeah, start! Well, I'm gonna go drive this in my face, and I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen tonight. Probably nothing. It's like winter out. Screw doing stuff in the winter. But anyway, people, it's 7:42 p.m. I can barely keep my eyes open. I'm super tired, but I know if I go to bed, I'm gonna be up at like midnight, and I really hate doing that. So I'm gonna force myself to stay up till 11. Probably pop some melatonin, maybe one of my pink pills, and then hopefully I fall asleep, and hopefully I stay sleeping until my alarm goes off at 6:15 a.m. Because I really got to figure this out. Because I'm going in the days real soon, and I need to be able to sleep. Well, I'll be able to fix it by then. Because, well, tomorrow's my last day shift, and then I roll in the night. So tomorrow night I'm gonna get to bed at a decent hour. But Tuesday night, let me tell you, I'm staying up late because I got to get used to staying up till 7 a.m. while being home. Because I'm going to be working from home for the next freaking week. Anyway, people, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, click that like button. Any questions, comments, concerns down below the go. And until next time, people, keep on vlogging.